And welcome back to our Northwestern Illinois watch party. I'm Andy Katz here at the Big Ten Network in Chicago. Pleased to be joined by one of my close friends, Darren Rovell from the Action Network, a famed sports business reporter and an alum of Northwestern. A lot to unpack here with you, Darren. First, you are one of the biggest Northwestern fans that I know. So I'm curious, because you were a journalist at Northwestern. When did you transition from journalist covering Northwestern to fandom?
I mean, it was always a private fandom. I mean, I knew that as a journalist, I had to be upstanding and obviously teaching journalism ethics. I couldn't be clapping on press row, but often I had to sit on my hands. So I would say I was a fan, but certainly when I left, I was much more of a fan. It was hard for me because I came in right after Northwestern went to the Rose Bowl. And when I left, they won a Big Ten championship in 2000. So, I've always been a fan, but obviously knowing that I wanted to be a journalist, Andy, I played it off when I was a journalist in school.
So I don't want to play to the losing aspect of the two high-profile sports years ago. Obviously,
it's always a part of us, though, so that's fine. It's always a part of us.
But I want to ask this from a journalistic point of view. How much do you think it makes sports journalists that come out of Medill better, that they have to ask maybe challenging questions, deal with losing, that they can't necessarily ride this fanboy kind of thing of a championship team, like if you were to cover the Alabama football team at the Alabama Daily newspaper, that I think it actually could challenge you at the Daily Northwestern or radio or TV, whatever you were doing at Northwestern?
No one has ever asked me that question, but it's absolutely true. I was the broadcaster for the 0-15 in the Big Ten Northwestern Wildcats, the 1999-2000 basketball season. And if you think that wasn't challenging enough, try to ask some questions of Kevin O'Neill. That was definitely the biggest test, because Bobby Knight gets all the credit. I would say Kevin O'Neill was just as challenging, if not more challenging. Non-answers, curse answers you couldn't use, just beyond. So, and be on the bus. When we were traveling by the bus, when we went to Michigan State against Mo Pete and Mateen Cleaves and the Flintstones on a team that didn't win once in the Big Ten, man. I will never, we're 21 years after, and I'll remember that bus trip for the rest of my life. So I absolutely do think it was much more challenging. You go in with the challenge, and it certainly lives up to it.
And so to that point, obviously it's arguably one of the best, if not the best, J schools in the country. How receptive are the sports teams knowing they've got dogged reporters, that are tracking them, especially sometimes when they have challenging seasons?
Yeah, I think it's funny because I was there when Pat Fitzgerald was there, and we had a show called The Sports Voice on the student radio network WNUR, and I remember him, like me, asking some challenging questions, and I remember him looking at his newspaper and not looking at my face, and that was a winning program, but just like, come on, man, like this is a student station. But I will tell you that asking those questions and not accepting that you're a student, that's what enabled me to join you at ESPN, basically 4 weeks after I graduated. I had confidence that I was not a student. I was a journalist first, and I had a radio show called The Sports Business Beat where I never told anyone I was a student. So I do think the challenges, how good the school is, and the challenges all wrap into one and make you a better journalist. And I'm proud of that. And I think if I went to a different school, I would not be where I am today.
So I love this story. Why don't we refresh our viewers here? Because we were at ESPN together. I think I preceded you by maybe a year in getting there, if my dates are correct. But let's refresh the memory of how you got the job. The same person hired us both, John Marvel, from Northwestern to ESPN.
I wish I brought the resume. I didn't, but essentially, there was instead of an HR person, there was a man named David Albright who showed up to Northwestern, and he was not hiring a sports business reporter. But I said, hey, just give me 10 minutes of your time. I think that ESPN should be the worldwide leader in sports business. Let me prove what I do. Let me prove why it's valuable. And he gave me 10 minutes, and I gave him this resume, which was an 8-page laminated media guide of myself. Some people would say pretentious. I would say I was just promoting myself. And as I was going to the student union, I was telling my friend, man, I just killed that interview. Little did I know David Albright was right behind me. Part of the story I learned a year later. But yeah, and then I interviewed with John Marvel and John Walsh, the white albino who controlled everything, the amazing John Walsh from Rolling Stone and everything. And I got the job at ESPN, and it was just obviously an absolute dream. Though, as you know, it wasn't necessarily what you'd envision, us being stuck in the building 4 basement. I'm not sure that was the ESPN Sports Center that everyone thought it would be.
Yeah, there's no question about it. By the way, David Albright, a Northern Illinois grad, a big NIU fan. What is it about the media alums and their fandom of Northwestern? And we saw it really blossom, obviously, in 2017. What is that connection with the media and this team, especially what this men's basketball team did in 2017?
Listen, I think because of our losing history and because people are always referencing what we're doing from an academic standpoint, I think we live with a chip on our shoulder. And so it's that much more sweet. You said Alabama, and how easy would it be to be a journalist at Alabama? Like Northwestern at some point, even though we're well beyond that in football, we still hold the record for 34 straight losing games. And so I think there's the chip on the shoulder. And we also enjoy that we uphold the academic standards and are still able to compete in the Big Ten. Certainly when I was a senior announcing, whether it was Joe Branch, who became an awesome agent, or you just think about Julian Bonner, who had muscles so big you would be surprised he could even shoot. And any time we got any good basketball player, they left. Rex Walters, Gino Carlisle, So I think we just have a perpetual chip on our shoulder, and we celebrate. And I'll never forget in 2017 when I went out to Salt Lake City for the first round of the NCAA tournament. My wife asked me, well, when are you coming home? And I said, when we lose. And she's like, I don't understand that. You don't have a definitive date? I go, no, because if we win the first 2 games, I'm not going to see you again. She didn't get it still, but that's what it is. I knew it could be the only time. Hope it's not, but we really revel in our when we're able to achieve greatness.
So Darren, there's a great photo of you calling a game for radio, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And Lisa Byington is also calling a game maybe next to you, because people don't really grasp how versatile Lisa was in college. Not only was she an athlete, multiple sport athlete, but also was a broadcaster at the same time.
Yeah, she played women's
then was off the charts as it is now. What can you share from back then?
Yeah, no, it was really surreal because we had a meeting every Sunday night and we broadcast men's basketball, women's basketball, softball, everything. I mean, it's the largest student-run radio station in the country by how far it goes. It goes 2 million potential listeners all the way to the Wisconsin border. And, Lisa is in the women's basketball games, and then she's broadcasting men's basketball games. So if you thought that the challenge of being a student athlete was a lot, and then she's actually now trying to do the broadcasting side, I mean, it was 20 years ago, 25 years ago, but we knew that Lisa was really motivated to be in journalism. And I lost her because she was in, Michigan and working her way all the way back up. But when I saw her on the Big Ten Network, when I saw her kind of rise up, it's amazing to see those stories. And what's so cool about all this is that, a lot of people who were with me at that radio station achieved their ultimate dreams. You know, Steve Weissman wanted to do NFL stuff and call tennis, and he did that. And Mike Lowe wanted to be a broadcaster for WGN, and he's a broadcaster for WGN. And I wanted to work at ESPN, and I did. And that's the power of how hard we worked, but also the power of Northwestern.
All right, so you are a great collector. What are some collector's items that you have of Northwestern?
Well, the oddball is going to be what will get people tonight. So I guess I'll tell you that I have Pat Fitzgerald's headset from when he became the all-time winningest coach, when he got the 50th win. He threw it down, broke it in half, and of course I pinged the equipment manager to say, "Pick that up off the floor. I'll pay for it." I have jerseys. I have Darnell Autry's Rose Bowl jersey and Citrus Bowl jersey. I have a Rose Bowl ring. I have Darnell Autry's final class schedule. I'm not going to tell you how that gets a little bit stalkerish on that side. Not going to tell you how I obtained that, but I got a lot. I'm proud to say I'm probably the biggest Northwestern collector in the world, which from a financial standpoint is a little cheaper than being, say, an Ohio State fan or even an Illinois basketball fan, right? Because you can get these deals. But when they open up my veins for blood, it is purple.
And were you not on the sidelines, if I'm not mistaken, either calling a play or a play was named after you, or you flipped a coin, something on the field?
Yeah, so I was a captain for the Nevada game a couple of years ago. Was able to, Coach Fitz has been amazing to me. We've been friends since he played, and we were students together. And I got to speak to the team. I feel like I was never more nervous in my life, because it was like a beautiful sunset and you have the whole team around you and everyone's quiet. And I'm like, God, what am I going to say to motivate these guys? Nebbishy Jewish guy who never walked on a football field except being a mascot. Yeah, no, I was the captain, and they actually had a play on the sidelines for me with my face on it, me and Rachel and maybe Wilbon and JA, and Northwestern's been very good to me. I didn't even have to pay for the cardboard cutout of me that's at Welsh Ryan. So I love the school. As I said, I bleed purple. It was the greatest decision of my life, and I think without Northwestern, I certainly, if I wasn't where I am today, it would have taken me a lot longer to get here.
All right, last thing, Darren. I grew up a Red Sox fan in Boston, so the younger generation, they're totally skewed because of what the Red Sox have been able to accomplish since 2004. My memories are all the heartache. How many comparisons would you draw of being something like a Red Sox fan pre-04 to a lifelong Northwestern fan?
Yeah, it's almost like being a Yankees fan, before 1996. Between 77 and 96, like a lot of Yankees fans in my generation, it's the same thing. I did not have to live through, like my friend Willie Weinbaum, when he went to Northwestern, the football team was 141-1. Luckily, I didn't have to live through that. But I'm well aware of the history. Certainly in basketball, I did live through some pretty horrendous times. I really would like to thank Steve Lepore and Evan Eschmeyer and Nate Palmaday and Joe Harmson, some of the guys who actually gave me a taste of some victory in before our 0-15 Big Ten season. But yeah, no, I mean, the people of today, the students of today don't appreciate, kind of where we've been. Hopefully in basketball, we can get a little bit more spoiled. I'm willing to go out on a limb when we're 3-0, I'm obviously going completely crazy. And now I've been old take exposed, because of what's happened since then. And then I get looped into the jinx. Like it's my problem. No, I feel a lot of pride. I felt good about us. I hope we can get on the right side soon. And I know how hard it is to be on that losing team and not cracking through. And I know I love Chris. I love Brian James. I love, everyone is part of this program, and I'm watching. Like, I'm not the guy who gives up. I am watching. You text me, I'm watching. And, until the end.
Darren, I appreciate it. Purple Pride.
Go Cats.
Keep it in your veins. Keep it on your jersey. Keep it on your head.